Hello, my name's Hathaway. I'm with Nufarm, and today we're looking at a naturalized rough or native area or no-mow secondary rough, whatever you want to call it. The idea remains the same, that it's an area that only gets probably mowed once a year. This area that we're looking at in the background here has been mowed probably in the last 3 weeks, and a lot of the clippings removed, and we're going to take a look at some of the most popular or most common weeds that we see in these areas and talk about how to control them best. As we walk up to this native area, the secondary rough, you can see that it's been mowed. So again, it's the fall, end of September in Michigan. The area's been mowed, and from afar you don't really see the weeds that are really everywhere in this area, but as you get closer, you see that after the mow has taken place, there's a lot of bare space, and I always tell people bare ground is not a natural condition. Something's going to take over, and you see what's in the soil when you see the weed itself. And so we know that there has been traditionally plenty of Canada thistle in here, which you see tons of right now. And the awesome thing is, when it comes to controlling weeds in these naturalized areas, the fall is a great time, because after you mow down maybe all those older plants, and you can see some of these woody stems that remain from some of those older plants that were here. They've been mowed down. They probably weren't growing very much anymore. End of their life cycle. They had produced flowers, seeds, disseminated them. They had put a lot of energy into their creeping roots, and now we have all this new growth, which is what we want. Herbicides work well when the plant is actually growing, and especially in the fall. We usually get some rain, we have some milder temperatures, and these plants really are growing. You can see these plants are just thriving. So it's a really great time to control them. And because it's the fall, because we're getting near the winter time, these plants are going to be pushing those active ingredients down to the roots where the sugars are being pushed as well. They're preparing for the winter, and as they do that, they're pushing sugars to, in this case, creeping roots. And we want the herbicide to move down there also. We don't want that herbicide to simply move into the above ground foliage and cause all the death and the mayhem visually that we like to see. And that's another thing that I hear people saying, is that when I spray herbicides, especially in the fall, I don't get to see as much of that curling, that cupping of the leaves. The injury that we associate with those auxin mimics. And so you're not going to see that as much in the fall because the herbicide is moving below the ground, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And so this is a great time to spray, end of September, beginning of October, for something like Canada thistle. Now, here's an area next to a birdhouse that hasn't been mowed, so a few remaining common milkweed plants. And you can see how tall they are, how mature they are. You're not going to be able to control this plant very well because it's not really growing too much anymore. So the ability to get a herbicide into the plant to the active site is really the difficulty. And so it's nice to be able to mow them down and come back and find those weeds when they re-emerge. And so here's a small common milkweed plant that's coming back. This one produces rhizomes. More than likely this is coming from a rhizome. Again, we have new growth, we have vigorous growth. This plant wants to produce some foliage, and it's going to be moving sugars down into those vegetative parts. Great time to control common milkweed. And if you are one of those who want to save some of the common milkweed on your golf course, I always recommend doing that in specific areas. You see some common milkweed here. Maybe setting aside areas that are more visible, maybe near the first hole or the clubhouse, and controlling, trying to increase the amount of common milkweed in those particular areas. And we actually, as Nufarm, we have a herbicide called Millennium Ultra. It's a little bit softer on common milkweed than other herbicides, so you can spray it and not kill all of the common milkweed, because we know that there's going to be plenty of other weeds that are going to infiltrate that area as well. So you need to be able to control other broadleaf weeds within it, which can really be the difficulty. We also see some toad flax coming in here. So Millennium Ultra is a great all-around broad spectrum broadleaf weed herbicide for golf courses, and it is a little bit softer on common milkweed, but it's great on Canada thistle, which almost always is a part of that stand as well. Another herbicide that Nufarm has is Sure Power, especially in season, going around with a backpack when these weeds are still just coming back. These perennial weeds have plenty of vegetative parts that they can push up new growth from, so you really have to stay after them. And so SurePower is a great in-season herbicide to go around with a backpack and knock them down. It's a fast-acting one, so you don't have to wait forever for that weed to disappear because it's going to help burn it down quickly. And SurePower is a really great herbicide for some of these perennials with thick cuticles like Canada thistle. So spraying SurePower on some of these tough to control broadleaf weeds is a great herbicide, whether it's fall, spring, in season. So a lot of options from Nufarm. We're always here to help you. Thanks for watching with me, and good luck out there.